Okay, I have a question. I have a question for you, Sorrel. Are you ready?
No, I have answers, right?
Okay, why don't ants get sick?
Why don't ants get sick? You know, their bodies are so small that there's nothing that could get sick.
You're on the right track. It's because they have little antibodies. You got it. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Spiritual Matters Thursday here at the Daily Huddle. I am your host, Dr. Monikah Ogando, and I am so delighted to be with you today. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because, listen, we just keep getting deeper and deeper into the Kool-Aid. Don't you agree? We just keep getting deeper. So before we get started and get into this juicy conversation, that I'll tell you what the question is for today. Tara, how are you?
I am Dr. Ogando, the way I say I am. And today I feel delightful.
Oh, you even look delightful. I'm like, what's she up to over there? She's looking like she's delighting in something. Andrea, where are you? And what are you grateful for?
Dr. Monikah, I am right where I need to be, which is right here. And I am grateful for books.
Oh, books.
Yep.
Yes. Our friendly,
grateful for books.
Friendly accompaniment. Yes. So, where are you and who are you going to hug today?
Let's see. Oh, I'm right here. And after the show, I'm going to go upstairs and hug 3 people.
Oh, okay.
I have a dog named Shade. He's a people. My wife and my son.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. All right. Well, I am loving all of this good energy so early in the morning. I know that it's 9 o'clock Eastern time is like regular morning for some people, but I call it single digit mornings, like before 10 a.m. You know what I'm saying? It's a discipline. It's an act of love. So I'm happy to be here with all of you. And today we're talking about, now listen, we went around and around on this one for quite some time. And I'll tell you why this matters. Our question of the day is purpose or results. How do you validate your life? And the reason why I look like the cat that ate the canary on that question is because so many times I have been at the edge of breakthrough on something, and I have stopped short of breakthrough because I wasn't willing to look at this question. So I am bringing this question to you because I think if we're able to answer this for ourselves in an authentic and an open manner, then we can melt away a lot of frustration and resistance in our lives and get to the nitty gritty, to the things that really matter, the substance that our lives are made of. And so, as always, whenever anybody engages in the conversation with me, the first step is always check your assumptions. And part of that is defining the words that we're using. So when I say purpose or results, what am I talking about? Purpose is this engine, this internal engine that drives you to what you do and why you do things in your life. And so for some people, the purpose they may have is to heal the world, heal people, be a positive influence, empower people to feel like they're the authors of their lives, to get people well in terms of health and wellness, et cetera, right? You guys talked to Vince and Roland earlier this week. And so how many of you would say, put it in the chat or put it in if you're talking to us through Facebook, put it in the chat. How many of you feel like you know what your life purpose is? That's question number one. And then question number two, say yes or no to that. And then question number two, how many of you feel like you are living into that purpose? Because it's one thing to know what it is. Like, yeah, I'm meant to do X, Y, Z. And then you're like, but I'm not doing nothing about it. I'm over here in this crappy ass job or this, unsatisfying relationship or whatever, right? And so it's important that you check in with yourself about what those two answers are, because the answers to those questions are directly proportional to how you feel in alignment in your life and whether you feel in integrity in your life. Because can you imagine, let's think that you're a car. And the purpose of a car is transportation, is getting from A to B. Now, there may be some side benefits, like you might look good when you're driving in that car, because that car looks hot, right? It might look amazing, it might draw some attention, but the ultimate purpose of a car is to get from point A to point B. Because you could be cute and be in the garage and nobody says anything, right? So imagine that you are an amazing, beautiful looking car and your number one purpose is to get someone from point A to point B, side effect, looking good doing it. And you're in the garage somewhere. You still look good, but you're not fulfilling that purpose. And so sometimes, here's where I get to the purpose or results. Sometimes we make up for that lack of satisfaction that we may have on the purpose department by focusing on our results, particularly when they are material results. Here's what I mean by that. Somebody who has, a checklist of things that we in this society may call success. They have the house, they have the cars, they have the money, they have the credit, they have the family, they have the marriage or the relationship, they have the body, they have the face even, all right, like some attractive features about them. Or they may have the degrees, they may have the certifications, they may work at the right place, they may have the right business, especially if they're in a culture of entrepreneurs. And so they can check off all these things and still not feel in alignment with their purpose. And so it's a little bit of a trick question to say purpose or results. How do you validate your life? Because it's not an either or proposition, right? Hashtag stand for the end. You can have alignment with your purpose. You can feel completely and totally purposeful in how and why you live your life, and be kicking it in your observable results as well. And part of stand for the and creating a life where you are both in alignment with your purpose and also manifesting amazing results, is that it helps you to kind of be, those results help to be a bit of a benchmark or a bit of a temperature check on the things that matter. Because I don't know if you have ever had this experience. Put it in the chat and say, yes, that's me too. If you've had this experience where you're hustling and working on something and working on something and working on something. And then you get to the top of the mountain, as it were. And you're like, dang it, this ain't it. I climbed the wrong mountain. What are we going to do now? Because the sense of satisfaction that you thought you were going to get when you reached the pinnacle of that mountain wasn't there. And sometimes the sense of satisfaction, unbeknownst to you, unbeknownst to me, this has happened to me, isn't actually climbing the mountain, not when you get to the top of it. It's the reinventing and redesigning who I have had to be in order to move toward a particular goal, in order to achieve a particular alignment with myself, or with the people that I love, or in the difference that I want to make in the world, etc. So have you ever gotten to the place where you're like climbing a mountain or hustling hard after a particular project, and then you get it? Let's say you start a business, you're like, yeah, I want to get 6 figures. And you get 6 figures, like, oh, I thought I was gonna feel rich, but now I just have more work for myself. I I don't feel good about this at all. Now I got to hustle more until I get to 7 figures. And then you get to 7 figures. You're like, I'm still working hard, or I still don't feel rich. When is this going to feel like wealth to me? And the purpose that you were going for was a consciousness of abundance. And you thought that the consciousness of abundance, you were going to get it by having, you're going to be abundant by having money in the bank or having a particular figure, 6-figure, 7-figure in your income statement in your business. And that's not the way it works at all. Dang it. That's not the way that it works at all. You've heard the whole formula of be, do, have, right? And sometimes we try to get it first. We get the have first. And maybe sometimes shortcut the have by doing the do, but we forget about the be. And it really does start with the beingness and the consciousness of it. That's really what the being settles down into, is the consciousness of it. When you have that consciousness, when you be the thing that you wish, then the doing becomes almost automatic and the having becomes inevitable. So I want to open it up, as I always do, because I love dialoguing with you. And I want to hear from you about what of this dance that we have between purpose and results. How have you experienced that for yourself? And where have you caught yourself in a little loop or a little trick about it? I want to see if anybody has any questions or any comments on it. Let me see. Do I have anybody that has shared hands? And Lisette, I don't have any visibility into the Facebook group, so if you'll give me a shout out on that. Sorrel, come on over.
Dr. Ogando, good morning.
Hi.
You know what the trap is for me?
Tell me.
As I look at this thing where we say purpose or result, how do I validate my existence? I must confess that my entire life has been about results.
How do you mean?
I've validated my existence by getting a good education. Then I proceeded to validate my existence by getting a good job. Then I proceeded from that point forward to validate my existence by making more money. Right. Having a great life, the way my kids are educated. The whole thing is all about results, right? And then when I began to confront the question purpose versus results, it's almost as if I got to the place where I said, gosh, maybe results don't matter at all. Let's just focus on the purpose. So my question to you is, it's not a healthy balance. It's how do the two intertwine? What do my results say about my purpose when I'm in alignment, and vice versa?
I'm hearing you. I'm just having a little bit of an audio issue here. And I wonder if some of it has to do with just a regular check-in every single time. Do you know what I mean?
Say more about that.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Now I can hear you and I can see you.
Oh, it's a little weird, my video.
Flip your phone a little bit so we can see you right side up.
Yeah, I'm gonna play with it. There you go. Okay, good. So this regular checking thing, right? So for example, when you're trying to work out at the gym because you want to lose a particular amount of weight or because you want to get to a particular fitness level or body fat percentage or whatever, and you determine that the way to do that is by doing a particular workout regimen. And then you go to the gym and you're doing your workout regimen, they have mirrors everywhere. And the reason they have mirrors everywhere is so that you can focus on your proper form. And so there are many times when you feel like, oh, well, I'm not getting to this place, or it's not getting there fast enough, or I'm not seeing the results, etc. But at every step of the way, while you're working out, you can check your form and see, are you hurting your back? Are you doing this correctly? Is this the proper weight? Is this too heavy? Is this too light, etc. Right? Not only how your body feels, but also what you look like when you're doing it in the mirror. And so many times we have check-in points like this. Sometimes those check-in points might be feedback from our family, like, I don't ever see you, you're working too hard, etc. Right? That could be a little feedback loop, a little feedback point. It could be about working and not getting a particular client, or not getting a particular result, or not achieving a particular income or revenue benchmark, etc. Or getting it and getting it very easily, and then saying, okay, well, this was easy. Well, how can I get to the next one, etc. So all of those feedback loops allow you to check in with yourself and to see, does this still feel good to me? Is this still aligned? How do I feel in alignment, right? And so the caution is that when you're at the gym, for example, and you're looking at the mirror and you're looking at what you look like doing what you're doing, but you forget to check in with yourself. Sometimes it's like, okay, I mean, I'm using the proper form, but I'm killing my bicep. I'm going to be so sore tomorrow. So you have to check in with your body too. Is this too heavy? Does this still feel good to me? Right? Now, good to me doesn't mean pleasant. Because I don't know if you've ever been to the gym, especially with a personal trainer that drives your butt. But sometimes the thing that you do that's good for you doesn't feel good to you. And so checking in with those feedback loops may be the trick to getting yourself in alignment, not at the end of a race, but as you are going through the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Tara's got something. Go ahead, Tara.
Oh, thank you.
Come on in.
You know, I love your conversations always. And I'll tell you how this is landing for me is you're talking about purpose, and then we're talking about results. And to me, there's a big difference in purpose and a goal. So like a goal might be at the gym to lose some weight and hit this goal, whereas purpose is something to me that is ongoing. Mm-hmm. And you all have heard me speak about my daughter who has cognitive challenges, and sometimes her understanding of experiences are lessons for us all. And recently, she could tell that she had gained some weight. And so she wanted to make some changes, and she probably got a little too obsessed with the scale, which we've worked out, but she decided she's going to eat healthy. She's going to have salads for lunch, and she's going to do more exercise. And she started to drop weight. And so she hit the goal of the weight, and she said, so now can I stop?
All right.
And what we learned together through that was, well, no, you need to take ownership and pride and joy through the experience of exercising and having salads for lunch. And it totally changed her perspective. So she's still on the journey of exercising and eating salads for lunch, not to reach a goal, but by taking pride in that journey. And that's really a little bit more about, for me, purpose versus goals. And I wonder, you're the expert here. I would actually love to hear what you see as your purpose.
Oh, Tara, I wasn't thinking about that. That was a nice little slick. I saw what you did there.
It's so inspiring. I would love to. I know you've worked on this, and
I have worked on this. Lord have mercy, I worked on this. So I think I have shared with you guys here in our daily Huddle family that when I was in my 20s, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cervical cancer, and I was given about a year to live. And this right here, this is what the doctor did. When he said about a year. And I felt almost like my life was writing in his hand like that when he was doing this, right? Such a physical experience. I still remember to this day. And I was watching one of those lonely nights where I'm just kind of like, what the heck is happening with my life? I was watching Saving Private Ryan, that movie Saving Private Ryan. And for those of you who have not seen it, it's a classic. But by this point, if you haven't seen it, I don't know, we're going to have to go doing a search party for you, because where have you been? And the whole movie's a flashback. And Private Ryan was sent a platoon of a whole bunch of men to go save him from this war-torn location where he was at, because he's the only surviving son for this mother of five boys who all died in the war, and he's the only surviving one. So as they were going to go get him, these people also died. And even the captain, who was of course played by the inimitable Tom Hanks, Captain Miller. And there's a scene where Private Ryan, played by Matt Damon, is at the feet of his captain, and the captain leans into him as he's perishing, right? Like with his last breath, he says, earn this. In other words, earn the sacrifice that these people have come. Live your life in such a way that me losing mine was worth it, right? And So then you flash back to, instead of him being at the foot of his captain as he's dying, he's now a 70, 80 something year old man, having lived a full life with his wife by his side and his grown children and grandchildren. And you could tell that he's walking with his legacy, and he's at the foot of the tomb of his captain. And as his wife comes to him, he says, tell me that I've been a good man. Have I been a good man? Like, he's checking in with himself. Like, have I lived my life in such a way that it was worth these people losing theirs to save mine, right? So he's always in like this checking point, or at least he was in that moment of reckoning. And I was watching that movie, and you can imagine that when that scene came up, I was like, ah! Right? Because I'm in the throes of like, well, for what, Monikah? Why should God give you a second chance? What are you going to do with your life that giving you this opportunity will be worth it? And that's when it landed for me that if I can get myself through this ordeal of healing through cancer, and I can live to tell about it and give somebody a testimony about it, what I did to do that, the change in belief, the healing of my own thought about my body and about the feminine aspect of my energy, because it was cervical cancer. So metaphysically, it had a lot to do with my feminine energy, healing my relationship with my mother, etc. If I could give that to someone so that they then can author their life in the way that I authored that part of that chapter of my life. And then if I can not only just author a chapter of my life, but author my life, all chapters of it, and then help others and empower others to do the same, then it doesn't matter like your profession or what kind of job. You can literally be working at Burger King for the rest of your life, or you can literally be sitting in a corner in homeless clothes for the rest of your life, and you can still live that purpose if you can transmute that lesson, right? So that's what I mean about purpose or results. That is like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing professionally or occupationally. It doesn't matter what the makeup of my family looks like. I'm always going to be up to the task of, here's my experience and here's what I can tell you about your opportunity and your ability to author your life. The only thing that you get to decide is how willing you are, but that you're capable, you got it. And that you're created to be that way is also not a litigible fact. Like, how you were created is not up to you. What you do with who you are as a creation, now that's up to you. And that is the hill that I'm going to die on. So I don't know if you gave me that question because you wanted to hear me preach today, but that's what it is. Hey,
that's why I did. That was beautiful and very inspiring. So thank you. And yes, you made my point that it's not a goal. It's a way of life. It's who you want to be. So thank you for that inspiration.
Awesome. Thank you for asking. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Robin in Facebook says, Jesus' death kind of makes me feel the same way. I don't have to earn it, but I want to serve him in such a way that there's value to his sacrifice. Thank you, Robin. We love you. Who else has a question? Sorrel,
Dr. Monikah.
Is that your hands up again?
Yeah, connecting the thread that you and Tara and Robin are weaving. The question that comes to me is this: if purpose is who I be and it's not a goal, then are there results that point to the alignment? Are there results that point to that I'm living in my purpose? And are there also some results that are simply inappropriate for measuring that level of alignment and connection?
That's a great question. That is a fantastic question. I'll tell you why, because a lot of times we tend to, in the absence of alignment, we tend to kind of rely on results. And so here's what I'll say about that. Now, disclaimer, this is my personal opinion, okay? There's not like cosmic truth with a capital T. But here's what I'll say about that. Yes, I think that you can look at some results that let you know that you're purposeful or that you are in alignment with that purpose that you say is your life, right? There's a verse in the Bible. It's also in the Quran, it's also in the Bhagavad Gita, but I don't remember the phrasing. I just know that it's across all major religions, say something to the effect of, by their fruits you shall know them. And so basically what we're saying is, if you want to know what somebody's up to, look at their results, right? And when I was in the financial services field, one of the things that I always used to tell people, I'm sure you've heard it, is you know what you're committed to by where you spend your time, energy, and money. So if you spend time, energy, and money in something, then that's what you're committed to. It doesn't matter what you tell me that you're committed to, right? I'm checking, right? And so here's some questions, because I always kind of try to unpack stuff by asking even more questions. When you're up to something that you say is purposeful for you, do you feel like if you don't do it, you've failed? Or that if you don't get a particular result that you failed? Or is the work putting in satisfactory in and of itself? Is that good enough for you? And how will you know, you, not other people observing your life, but how will you know that you've done your level best to live in alignment with the purpose that you say you have on your life? What difference will you make in other people's lives, in other people's relationships, in other people's, points of view, etc., that will let you know I've done my work here? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they tell you. Sometimes you don't see it because they tell you, you see it because you see it, right? And one of the things that I always tell people is that masters create masters. They don't create followers. Leaders don't create followers. They just happen to have followers, but leaders create leaders. And so if you are in a position of leadership, check around you to see other people taking leadership. Also, are they practicing their own mastery? Are they stepping into their purpose? Are they clearer and more distinct with their words, with their language, with the way that they articulate their purpose and their contribution in life? Or are they kind of waffling around? So when you ask those questions, you'll get a better idea of where you're up to. Lisette says, how can I balance having a purpose and not creating too much pressure to achieve it and being able to value the process? Yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about here, that it's like, can you be devoted to the process and not castigate yourself because you haven't reached a particular benchmark fast enough or smoothly enough? So, sometimes we put these incredible standards on ourselves. Like, not only do I have to reach it fast, but I have to look good doing it. It can't be a struggle. It's like, what? Are you kidding? This isn't, not even Disney movies work that way. And they're the most smooth, plot loop ever. And so I challenge you to ask yourself these questions this week, for this weekend. Ask yourself, first of all, what is my purpose? Why say my purpose is? Given where I have been in my life and the things that light me up, that bring me joy, what would I now say in this stage of my life that is my purpose? And how aligned am I living into it? And can I pursue my purpose in such a way that the pursuit of happiness is what brings happiness, not a particular destination or result? And then when you get the results, that's kind of like the cherry on top. That's kind of like the frosting on the cake. That's kind of like the extra credit for the homework. Because what you really are designing for yourself is a life of mastery in such a way that, you leave breadcrumbs for that. Does that make sense?
Thank you. That does make sense.
Awesome. And we are at the half-hour mark. So I want to say thank you to everybody that has joined us. Thank you, Sorel, for those juicy questions. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Andrea, for being here. I love you all. Molly and Stan and Virtue, thank you so much for joining us as well. And Robin, for your amazing contribution in the Facebook chat. We love you. And as always, we want you to take on what we share with you here at the Daily Huddle and spread it around. Let everybody in your life know that you are part of this amazing community so that they can join you as well, not only as accountability partners, but also to witness your greatness. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.